From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Scott Wright, OSU beat writer. Scott, defensive line play, big question mark coming into this season. Now we're 5 games in, and frankly, this defensive line looks like they're starting to gel, really starting to come together. And we saw it on prime display against K-State. A running team, defensive line really did well. What was the key to that from your perspective?
A couple of different things that they did. One, they went a little bit heavier. They had Israel Antwine at a defensive end position. He's a 295-pound guy who's athletic enough to do that, but it made for a bigger group up there with a couple of other defensive tackles on that front with the 3-man front, using Brock Martin, Mike Scott, Trace Ford, whoever it was at that other defensive end spot, sort of as a walk-up end or a middle linebacker type of player. So they stuck mostly with the 3-down linemen, but they were able to clog the gaps well enough that they could contain a really good running team and play physical enough, which was a question mark about this team, whether they could be physical enough in the trenches to contain that. And they did. They contained the running quarterback, which is always a big question with Oklahoma State. So that was important. And they were able to show that they could go man for man and be really physical with another physical team.
Yeah, and they did a great job against K-State, but week before they also did a pretty good job containing Sam Ehlinger down in Texas. He got one big run toward the end of the game that kind of iced it away for the Longhorns, but really was contained otherwise. But obviously the challenge in the Big 12 always comes down to what you can do with these air raid, high up-tempo passing offenses. Texas Tech is the challenge this week. They don't have Alan Bowman, so how up-tempo and how much passing they can do remains to be seen. But what's the challenge for this defensive front now as it heads to Lubbock?
The big challenge this week is quickness. They've got to be quick getting to Jet Duffy, who is not as talented as Alan Bowman, but he understands the offense. Their whole offense is predicated on getting the ball out quickly. Mike Gundy says they like to line up and get a play run within the first 9 or 10 seconds of it being spotted after the previous play. So they're moving quickly. They're getting the ball out fast on short passes, bubble screens, zone running out of the spread. So they do a lot of different things that are geared toward that up tempo. So you're gonna have to keep guys rotating in when you can. Get some fresh legs out there, but you're going to have to be quick getting to the quarterback. Could be a big week for guys like Mike Scott or Trace Ford, who really use their quickness to get to the quarterback. And I think there's a chance you could see Jim Knowles dial up some blitzes to maybe help things out as well. So really a very different challenge, because it's all about speed rather than filling in gaps and all those sorts of things you have to do against a team like Kansas State. It's all going to be about getting to the quarterback, keeping him uncomfortable, and making sure that you can try to force him into some errors.
Scotty, lastly, you mentioned blitzes by Jim Knowles. We really haven't seen much in the way of a pass rush. They've been more sort of allowing the guys to get back in coverage, then force the quarterback's hand to kind of roll out, and then they attack. But do you expect more in the way of that, or is that, as this line is evolving, Jim Knowles just wants to take it slow?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I think you're going to see some different things with how he sort of unleashes the pass rush from his guys up front. And then I think that this is a fun kind of week for him to dig into his bag of tricks and maybe bring some safety blitzes, some corner blitzes, some different types of things, so that Jet Duffy doesn't know where an extra guy might be coming from. That said, it's still going to come down to those guys up front, making sure that they're drawing the attention that they need to, so that there's not blockers just standing around with waiting for people to show up. So that's going to be the most important thing. But I think you'll see some creative things from Jim Knowles to get to the quarterback and try to get him on his back. All
right, 11 o'clock start out in Lubbock on Saturday. It's an FS1 game for all you Cowboy fans looking for it on TV. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at Oklahoman.com and every day in the Oklahoman.